Don here in Florida, and today we're going to be repairing a moped. This is a mid-70s Honda Hobbit. A few weeks ago I started a new job in a motorcycle repair, restoration, rebuild shop. They only deal in older motorcycles. Being the new guy, of course, you know, I ended up with the bottom of the barrel stuff. All the young guys want the fancy bikes, and the old guy gets left with the nerdy stuff. So here we go. I got this mid-70s Hobbit, like I said, and the crank arm here, and this is the crank for the pedals here, was severely bent, and I already semi-straightened it in the press at work before I brought it home, and I'm going to try to do a little bit more straightening with it here in the lathe in just a minute. This pedal as well, we need to get that straightened. It's not square here to here, and this pedal's pounding into the case. The really big issues though are the bushing, or the bearing that goes right here. Now this is what was in there. That is just bad. It's gone, it's shot. It was plastic. The crank arm slips through it like this. There's supposed to be a seal out here, but these bearings and seals you just can't get a hold of anymore. So we're gonna just go ahead and take a piece of bronze, and we're going to make ourselves a new bushing for that. We're going to add a shoulder onto it so that we can do away with the seal. The other side, interestingly enough, here, the plastic bushing was actually very good condition, so we're only going to make the one side. The real issue is the adjuster here for the chain. Now this was bent in so many ways before, and it got bent back, and it's just not doing its thing. The kid that was working on it before me put in new rollers, but this thing just falls apart. There's no way to keep that chain tight anymore. So with that, what I did was I cut out a piece of metal from this piece that came off my bandsaw that I'm never going to use. I was actually going to throw that away, but I thought it might have been good for somewhere up the road. So we've already cut out a piece for this, and we're going to show you how to make one of these, and it's going to be stronger than the original because this was really weak from the factory to begin with. So let's get started. Let's finish straightening this out here. Let's do this first. Okay, so for any of you guys that haven't taken a Hobbit apart, they're actually very simple. There's a plastic case on each side of the motorcycle down low. There's two plastic screws that you simply just push in and turn a quarter of a turn, and the covers pop right off. Once you pop the covers off, you'll have the crank arm here sitting on the shaft like this, and what you want to do is loosen up the nut here, get a brass punch this back with a hammer until it comes loose, remove it, and then simply pull the crank arm off. And you want to do that on each side. Remove the chain, of course, and then just slide it right out. There's really nothing to it. As far as the adjuster goes, just a 10mm screw. You just screw it out, and this pops right out. So just as easy as that. Okay, let's see what we're at here. As I turn it from one side to the other, we've got about 18 thousandths out of concentricity, but I'm going to live with that because just the pedal opening here, the slop that it has in there is more than that, so it's not really going to affect the pedaling effort. As a matter of fact, there's a tapered pin that I had to make originally when the kid broke it that goes in here that takes all that out, so that the point where the pedal moves this way isn't going to make really any difference. Okay, so as it turns out, this shaft is horribly bent on this side as well. I should have known better. I just wasted time on that other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and take this sprocket off of here, and I've got some 1018. I'm just going to make a new shaft. weld. go. Just like that. And I'm going to put a slight undercut here to weld into. Then we'll know where we're at when we're doing this. Okay, I don't want to overdo it either. Okay, so I just went and checked that against a known flat surface. I'm going from this edge here straight across here using the square like that, and now it is square. We don't have this gap that I originally had here, so that's good. Okay, the next thing we're going to make is this bushing, and I wrote down the specs that I need on this. The outer diameter for press fit's going to be 0.749. That's just shy of 750. Actually it's 748, but I'm going to go a thousandths over. And we're going to make a collar of 0.125, so 1/8 of an inch. So let's see if we can hit that. And I'm just going to line it up like this to try to get the depth on that. No sense getting too crazy on it. Oh, that says 749 right there. Okay, 749 on the mic. Okay, now for this adjuster. The adjuster when it sits in there, there's a pivot point right here that goes in the side of the case. That's what this pivot's on, and as the chain runs through here, this will pivot upward like this to pull back on the chain to tighten it. Well, what we're going to do is, you see how this adjuster's on the back side here, and then it comes over, holds this plate, and then there's a plastic plate here. What we're going to do is we're going to make this all on one plane. We're going to make the adjuster down here, the holes here for the what we'll do is on our rollers here, we're going to have a screw on the outside. So technically I could just cut this off and use this as a spacer, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off down here and tack weld it on, just so that this is as solid as possible. I really don't want this moving. These, you know, when you're a 115-pound teenager, you know, and you're turning on those pedals, you're really not putting a lot of stress on these rollers. But when you're a 200-pound grown man and doing the same thing, it really just tears these up. So yeah, that's I think what we're going to do. The nice thing about this setup is that this being the pivot point actually gives us our radius like this. So that's the center point, and that follows that radius just like that. So we're going to use that point right there on the mill to allow us to turn to that radius right there. So I think that's going to be a good deal. So let's go ahead and try this. What I want to do is kind of roughly mark out where all this goes so that I'm not second guessing myself later. So we'll mark this out like this, and you can't see that too well on that plate, but you know, if you look close, it's there. So and we'll come over here. Geez, I went and did all that setup and I didn't even have the camera running. All right, I'll just put a bolt in here. I got a waist plate on here. This is a headless bolt. This is just a stud. And I put the plate on here, heavy duty washer, nut to hold it, cranked it all down. Got a clamp on here. I lined everything up. I used the original piece to make sure I was kind of correct on there. I can't believe I didn't tape all that. So let's go ahead and see if we can just get that started anyway. So, and I'm gonna crank up to. Okay, so let's try it again. So I'm gonna bring it up. Let me turn on the DRO. I want to see how much I'm bringing it up. Yep. I think that one came out a little bit better. Okay, so let's see if I can press these in. There's one. There we go, number two. Tack weld it right down once I get the height set. Kind of getting out of camera there. Once I get the height set, I'll tack that down. You can see I got a lot of extra there. So let's go ahead and get this apart now and get all this welded up. Too bad. I'll flatten that out, clean it up on the grinder. This here's all the way around. Okay, so there we are. We got our crank arm back on here, all straightened out. We made a new shaft, a new bushing, some spacers just in case. I got a driver, drive that into the frame when I get back. That's junk. And there's our new adjuster right there. I decided against welding that down there. One, in case I ever have to replace these rollers. And two, that sits right down flat against that base right there. And with these welded in the back and then bolted on the top, they're not going anywhere. This is literally 100 times stronger than the old one. So let's go get that put on the bike and we'll be done.